Well, straight ahead on this digital edition of the News at 5, answers tonight about who can vote to fill the late Lindsey Graham's spot on the November ballot. It's not as simple as you would think. What you need to know about that special August primary. Plus, protests in the capital city after two deadly ICE-related shootings in the last week in this country. Some groups hitting the streets of downtown Columbia tonight to send a message. We look at every side of that issue. A digital edition of the News at 5 starts now.
Live from the Fox Studios in Columbia, it's Watch Fox News at 5 Local First.
Breaking news out of Richland County tonight. Take a good look at your screen. This is 18-year-old John Jean, goes by the name Jai. Deputies say he was last seen the night of July 8th near John Mark Dial Drive and Bluff Road. He's believed to be in danger due to a medical condition. The 18-year-old is 5'7", weighs about 155 pounds. So again, take a good look at this picture here. If you see John Jean or know where he is, call 911 or the Richland County Sheriff's Department. Senator Lindsey Graham's passing over the weekend shocking the state and the nation. And as South Carolina prepares to fill his spot on the November ballot, there has been a lot of speculation about the candidates and how a special election will work. Tonight, State Election Commission officials clearing up one of the biggest questions by making clear who can vote in next month's primary. Our Kara Daniel just talked to those state election officials this afternoon, live in the studio now with more on what voters need to know. What is the latest here, Kara?
Brian, there has been a lot of confusion about how the special election will work and who will ultimately replace Senator Graham. While we still can't confirm everyone who will be on the ballot, the State Election Commission clarified who is eligible to vote in that August 11th special Republican primary.
It's been a fast and furious past few days.
The State Election Commission on Wednesday is saying they have completed a review of South Carolina election law to determine who can vote in the August 11th special primary to replace the late Lindsey Graham on the November ballot. Commission officials say people who voted in the June Democratic primary will not be eligible to cast a ballot in the special Republican primary.
If those voters were allowed to participate in this process, they would essentially be participating in two parties nominating processes for the same office, for the same election, and state law does not allow for that.
However, voters who participated in the June Republican primary or who did not vote in either party's June primary are eligible. The commission says the decision is based on state election law governing participation in political party primaries.
We wanted to really make sure that and take our time, do our due diligence, and make sure we came up with the correct answer, and we're absolutely certain we have.
Election officials are encouraging voters to review their eligibility before heading to the polls so they know what to expect on Election Day.
Been a lot of questions, obviously, over the past few days about this, and I think everybody craved an answer, and we're happy that we're able to answer this question with some finality today. And
again, that special primary is scheduled for August 11th, but the date to be registered has already passed. There will be an early voting period from August 5th until the 7th. As of now, only Mark Lynch has announced that he is a candidate in the primary. In studio, I'm Kara Daniel, Watch Fox News, Local First.
Thank you, Kara. Well, state lawmakers still at odds over the state's spending plan. No budget in place yet after 2 days of meetings this week, and it's already 2 weeks past the July 1st deadline when the fiscal year began to get this budget done. It's going to stretch into another week, though, with negotiations still kind of at a stalemate right now. Our Kiana Jordan has been in both of those meetings this week. One of them just finished up a little while ago at the State House. Kiana, what are lawmakers saying? They say progress, but still no agreement.
Yeah, Brian, that's right. Lawmakers are still working towards an agreement, but they aren't there yet. House members say they aren't willing to just give up just yet those hundreds of millions of dollars in community investment projects known as earmarks, and senators saying they aren't willing to give up the property tax relief for seniors. However, senators do say that if they aren't able to reach an agreement, they are willing to approve a continuing resolution allowing the state to operate on last year's budget plan. Now, House leaders argue local community projects are essential investments, while some Senate leaders say the amount set aside for those projects is holding up an agreement. Lawmakers spent much of today's debating nearly $320 million in House community investment projects and whether they should be reduced or reviewed individually before the budget moves forward. House leaders defend the funding, saying lawmakers are responding to requests from communities across the state for infrastructure and public safety improvements. Senate leaders argue they support helping local communities, but question adding hundreds of millions of dollars in projects late in the budget process. The Senate warns they may have to consider passing a budget without community projects if no compromise is reached. House members argue many of the requests come directly from local government and public safety agencies, including police and fire departments that need funding for equipment and buildings.
Build stations, and that money, while it won't build a station, but it certainly put us on the right path to help out to build a station. So that's why we're here.
If the House had put their earmarks in the House 1 version of the budget and sent it over to us, we could have gone through a subcommittee process. We could have gotten testimony in regard to individuals. We could have evaluated the merits of those projects, and we probably would have adopted a lot of them that were meritorious, okay?
Now, despite the disagreements, leaders from both sides of the aisle say they aren't ready to walk away from negotiations just yet. Instead, they're going to pick this back up next week on Tuesday at 1 p.m. in the Gresset building. And an idea thrown out there is going to be looking at the earmarks on each side and going through them one by one, deciding whether they're going to keep them or throw them out. That's going to take place here at the State House next week. Live from the State House, I'm Kiana Jordan. Watch Fox News, local first.
All right, thank you, Kiana. Of course, we'll continue to push for the latest on that and everything we cover for you every day here at Watch Fox News. And when we get those updates, you can know them at the very same time. Real-time alerts sent right to your phone. All you need is to download the Watch Fox News app. You can scan that QR code on your screen right now to do it. And you can always come to the website 24 hours a day, WACH.com. Let's shift our attention now to the weather department. Go over to the Skywatch Weather Center and check in with meteorologist Will Rowe, standing by right now. Okay, it's the middle of the week.
It is.
How are we?
Well, it's not too bad, I guess. We're back to pretty typical July weather, partly cloudy skies out there, and 94 degrees right now here in Columbia, and it feels more like 100 degrees. So we're back to the typical humid, hot weather that we are so used to feeling here in July. 91 in Sumter right now, 90 in Orangeburg and Newberry, 93 down in Camden. Not seeing much rain on the radar here, at least across the Midlands. Have a couple of spotty showers and storms where the sea breeze is developing down in the low country, and also a couple more spotty showers and storms down towards Aiken and into the Augusta area. And that's closer to where that stalled boundary that we were dealing with at the beginning of the week. It's still holding on across Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and just to our south, but as an upper level ridge starts to build in, it will start to dissipate as we head into tomorrow. But as far as tonight goes, any lingering spotty showers that are out there will become mostly clear. We will stay mild with temperatures in the low and middle 70s, but very quiet night for tonight. As we head into tomorrow, we will continue to crank in the heat as that aforementioned upper level ridge builds in. 95 here in Columbia is what we're going with tomorrow. 96 in Camden and Bishopville, 94 over in Sumter. Should see plenty of sunshine, but still with the heat and humidity, might see a spotty shower or thunderstorm. That is not out of the question, but chances of rain will start to tick up as we head into the weekend. Temperatures still staying in the low and middle 90s, but we're also watching for maybe a potential area of development in the northeastern Gulf that could cross Florida and move off of our coastline. Only a 20% chance of development right now, but if it were to develop or at least get a little organized, it could bring us better chances of rain as we head into Sunday and also early next week. We'll talk more about this coming up in just a few minutes.
Well, two deadly shootings involving ICE in less than a week. The first in Texas, and then most recently Monday morning in Biddeford, Maine. A 26-year-old Colombian man that officials there say was authorized to work in the U.S., killed during a traffic stop on his way to work that day, leading to protests across that state and the country. The Homeland Security chief saying the man was not the target of an ICE enforcement operation. Now, South Carolina, now the latest area to see some protest over ICE activity. Not the first one either in the Palmetto State, but within the hour, a group set to rally in downtown Columbia about this issue. Our Mike White live there right now along Main Street. What do we know?
Yeah, Brian, in about 30 minutes or so, people will be gathering at the building right behind me there, here on a main street for tonight's protest. Now, earlier today, organizers told me that this is in response to the recent killings by officers, and that even though this is a time that has put fear in many, they want to send the message that they won't go down without a fight. Now, organizer Annie Mahaffey of the Party for Socialism and Liberalism tells me there is a lot of fear from people because ICE arrests happen under the radar, and today needs to serve as a demand for justice. Now, this morning, President Donald Trump encouraged ICE to continue with traffic stops and continue with arrests. Mahaffey says organizers want to bring everyone together to show every community member they are protected, and they will continue to stand up against ICE.
There's a lot of concern and there's a lot of fear. We care deeply about our neighbors and our communities, and an aggression to one of us is really an aggression to all of us. And clearly there's no discrimination from the Trump administration.
Now, I also spoke with Columbia Councilman Tyler Bailey about an ICE legal office setting up downtown. Bailey says he hasn't received the information he requested from the government in a Freedom of Information request. That request included the purpose of the building and are warrants potentially going to be signed from the facility. Bailey says it took 4 months to get a response from the government, and as of right now, nobody knows if anyone has been working out of the office since the news broke in February.
They have not been transparent. They have not provided information that I asked for. They have not provided information that people are entitled to. And there's still activity, as we see, going on across the country that warrants people's suspicions.
Now, in a statement to WACH Fox News, the SCGOP chairman Drew McKissick saying, quote, while liberal activists protest the men and women of ICE who are working to enforce our nation's immigration law, we're thankful for President Trump's continued support for those who work every day to protect the American people, secure our borders, and keep our communities safe. Now, tonight at 10, I'll bring you more from protesters that are expected to show up within the next 30 minutes. But for now, reporting in Columbia, Mike White. WACH Fox News, Local First.
Well, in Irmo, authorities there launching some new security measures on the roads called the Flock Safety Camera System, put throughout the town to capture the back end of cars to read license plates. They say to focus on safety, not surveillance. They say they will not be using facial recognition. There were some questions about this. Town of Irmo officials say that new addition is to search for stolen cars, missing people, and possible kidnappings, violent offenses, and burglaries, as well as other investigations in that region. Now, in a statement, Irmo Police Chief Bobby Dale saying in part, quote, as chief, I have a responsibility to use every lawful and responsible tool available to protect this community. That's exactly what these cameras are, a tool to help us solve crimes, find victims, and hold criminals accountable. And Columbia Metropolitan Airport welcoming a new addition today. Airport officials cutting the ribbon on the Midland's new Customs and Border Protection facility. It's roughly 8,000 square feet, designed to give more space on the runway. The upgrade will give access to international air cargo and help better manage business traffic. The number of international arrivals is expected to increase. Between 2024 and May of this year, there were just 505.
CBP is very excited for the opening of this new facility to be able to enhance what we currently have, our operations here, our footprint, that gives us the ability to operate and support the general aviation community by processing of travelers and cargo in a safe and efficient manner to help facilitate lawful trade and travel.
A new facility is set to open operations the first week of August. Well, during these summer months, children are out of school, and that also means school meals go away as well, and folks have to step in to fill that void. And all this summer, WACH Fox 57 has been trying to do that by teaming up with Feeding America Sinclair Care's Summer Hunger Relief Program. What we're doing here is raising awareness, raising money, doing whatever we can to put some fresh meals on the table for children in need all summer long. Here is how you can get involved. We've been showing this to you, this QR code. You can scan that, go straight to donation information. You don't have to give much, whatever you feel is suitable if you're up for it. Just $1 provides up to 10 meals for families right here at home because that money stays local.
Well, again, another check at radar. Most of the Midlands is staying dry at this point in time, only seeing some spotty activity down towards the low country, closer to the sea breeze, and also down towards Augusta and into Aiken and Edgefield County down there. A couple of little downpours and rumbles of thunder, but most of the rain is staying to our south and to our west. That stationary boundary that we were dealing with at the beginning of the week, it's still hanging on, draped across Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia, and dipping just to our south. So that's where the majority of the rain is holding on right now, but we're watching an upper level ridge that is going to build in, and that's likely going to dissipate that front and likely keeping us dry for the end of the work week. So as far as tonight goes, mainly clear skies. We're staying mild in the low and middle 70s. A few areas of patchy fog will be possible, but not quite as much as what we saw the past couple of nights. Calm winds also expected for tonight. So here's that upper level ridge that is building in just offshore. We also have another one that was causing the heat dome out to the west. That's also going to slide more to the south and to the east, right over our heads, and the southwesterly flow going to usher back in that humidity and continue to warm our temperatures up. But the upper level ridge being more so overhead is likely going to keep us dry for both Thursday and Friday, but still with the heat and humidity, have to leave in just a small 20% chance of maybe a pop-up shower or storm. Now, that ridge is going to start to break down as we head into the weekend, so better opportunities of scattered rain and storms will likely return in the forecast by that point. So staying mainly clear for tonight, not much going on as we head into tomorrow, seeing a good deal of sunshine, and of course with the heating of the day and the humidity, maybe a stray isolated shower or storm might pop up, but most of us likely going to stay dry tomorrow. Mainly clear again for tomorrow night. Same goes for Friday. Now this is our in-house model. I think it's being a little aggressive with how much rain we're going to see on Friday. It's certainly possible for a few pop-up showers and storms, but again, with that ridge so strong overhead, we're likely going to stay dry for most of the day on Friday. Now it will start to break down heading into Saturday. This is as far as this model goes, but I think we will see some more activity into the afternoon and evening on Saturday, and that will carry over into Sunday and early next week. Now another thing that could potentially increase rain chances Sunday and early next week is this little area that the National Hurricane Center is watching for tropical development. Only a 20% chance for right now, but something to keep our eyes on, especially if it gets a little more organized. It could bring us better opportunities of rain. Also watching another area coming off the coast of Africa. This one has a 10% chance of tropical development, but the problem with both of these is there's a good amount of Saharan dust out there, so all that dry air is likely going to limit development, especially out here. You see those huge plumes coming off. Not quite as strong over here towards the Gulf and over our heads, but still something just enough likely to keep it from developing. Another issue is going to be the wind shear. A good amount of wind shear across the intertropical convergence zone and also across the Gulf, and so that's likely going to limit that development, but still certainly possible. Now this is the European model. It's been the most aggressive with developing this thing, so if it were to develop, it would be a very weak tropical storm maybe, or a tropical depression. But if it gets a little organized, we could see widespread rounds of rain and a couple of thunderstorms out of this. We really need the rain, so it would be some good news. But for now, there still is some uncertainty with that, so chances of rain are going to stay on the lower side, only around 30 to 40% for the weekend and into next week as well. The main story is going to be the heat, though. We're right back to the typical heat and humidity. Temperatures back in the middle to potentially even upper 90s, with heat index values as high as 100 to 105.
All right, well, thank you. Coming up on the News at 10 tonight, the Senate Homeland Security Committee hosting a hearing today about fraud, waste, and abuse across the federal government. Independent journalist Nick Shirley and O'Keefe Media Group founder James O'Keefe among the witnesses there as lawmakers consider whether stronger oversight is necessary to better protect taxpayer dollars. We'll be looking at that this evening. Also tonight, after the Sports Zone here on Watch Fox, here's what you can expect from the National News Desk with Dee Dee Gatton.
I'm Dee Dee Gatton with the National News Desk in Washington, D.C., and this is your news update.
Whenever we learned that any victim's name had been improperly not redacted, we immediately took the document down and fixed it as soon as we could. That doesn't excuse the mistakes of which I take responsibility, but it does mean that we tried to fix them. We complied with the act.
Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche was grilled on Capitol Hill today in his nomination for Attorney General. One major focus was the Justice Department's handling of the Jeffrey Epstein files. Blanche admitted mistakes were made. He was also pressed on the status of President Trump's controversial anti-weaponization fund, which Blanche said is not moving forward. One person is dead and several others are missing after a boat capsized near Alcatraz Island yesterday. San Francisco fire officials say 20 people were on board when the vessel took on water. A fire department marine unit found one man in severe distress and started CPR, but he was pronounced dead on shore. More than a dozen people have been rescued. Hundreds of wildfires burning in Canada and Minnesota today are exposing millions of Americans to dangerous air quality. Forecasters say heavy smoke is moving into the Midwest and East Coast today, and the most intense smoke could spread towards Washington, D.C. by tomorrow. People are advised to stay indoors to avoid the smoke and the extreme heat. And that's your news update.
Well, to find out more and stay up to date on national headlines, watch the National News Desk right here on Watch Fox 57 right after the Sports Zone.
Well, a final check of your forecast again. I think we're staying mainly dry for tomorrow and Friday. Still just a 20% shot at some pop-up showers and storms during the afternoon, but opportunities of rain will start to increase as we get a couple of little pieces of energy to pass through into the weekend and early next week. Still seeing the hot and humid conditions in the low and middle 90s, and also watching that area of development. We're still watching some uncertainty with it, but it certainly is possible if it gets organized. We could see increased chances of rain for Sunday and early next week.
All right, typical July pattern. It looks like to me.
Pretty much.
Back to the 90s.
Yep.
You couldn't hold off, could you?
No, I just.
Now you gave us a day or two.
Yeah.
It'll work. It'll work. All right, thanks for joining us here for this digital edition of the News at 5. We'll see you tonight for the news at 10.